Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I'm joined by...
James the Wildcard.
And welcome back for Take Two.
Yes, we had gold. And
we
it was
did.
Stolen from us.
And now you're going to have to deal with bronze.
The precious was stolen from
Yes. I guess we'll get the first and foremost out of the way, the short thing, which was the Godzilla movie came out this weekend, and me, as a huge Godzilla fan who's seen a whole bunch of them, it was awesome. It was classic Godzilla, and anyone else who complains about some of the screen time factors have never watched an original Godzilla movie.
I've only seen 3 Godzilla movies in my lifetime. The original, which, it's Gojira or something like that.
Gojira, not Godzilla King of the Monsters.
No, but just Gojira. The one before Godzilla raids again.
Yep.
I saw that.
There's two versions of that. The King of the Monsters, which is the Raymond Byrne version, and then there's Gojira, the Japanese one, the one that you saw.
Yeah, the one I saw, the Japanese one. It was during a limited screening at a independent theater place that I don't think they actually show movies that have just come out, but they show classics and stuff like that. Okay. And I actually got to see it there. It was in New York City, and I enjoyed that one. I saw the 90s cheesiness of epicness of our first take on Godzilla, and I say that because it felt so 90s that I couldn't really get mad at it, especially because I'm not a big Godzilla head. But I like the look. I mean, it wasn't a Godzilla look at all in the movie, but I liked the look of the monster. I just liked it as a look of a big scary monster. But and then I saw this one. So those are the only 3 I saw, which is funny because I'm a big fan of Mothra. Never seen this movie, but I just like the way Mothra looks. Not being a fan of Godzilla. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't hate Godzilla. I'm just not. I wouldn't put myself in the realm of fandom. It's there. I'll watch it, and that's about it. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed watching Spider-Man 2 more because I'm a fan of Spider-Man. So being a fan of something made me enjoy it more. But I enjoyed this. I think if you're not really a fan of it, you should still see it because you'll probably enjoy it as a movie. It was done well, and
like I said, it was a very classic take. Right.
It definitely felt like watching that and having seen the original one. It definitely felt like justice was served in that regard, and
I liked how they made the monsters move more like they were dudes in suits and not CG awesomeness.
Right, and after you explain what you meant by that, I could see it now, and I agree with your statement, even though not being a huge kaiju fan, I didn't really catch it when I watched it, but it makes a lot of sense. Take it for what it is. It tells a story using a giant monster, and it was enjoyable. And though I will say, when I watched it, there were some people who left the theaters. I don't know why. They walked out. I don't know. I didn't pay attention if they got back in or not. But 2 people walked out. I don't know why. But
their name shall be written in the book of shame.
Right. But no, the Godzilla movie, I did enjoy it. I will. Yeah. Now you know me. I'm a much bigger fan of mecha and robots. Mm-hmm. So Pacific Rim, I had more of a fan watching enjoyment with that because giant mechanical things. Yeah. So this not having that didn't have the same reaction, but I still enjoyed it. So that's what I got to say on that.
Okay. And so let us move into a fairly big topic for this podcast, which is 7th edition is on its way.
Right, or whatever they're going to call it.
Yep. We're going to probably just call it 7th edition because I think GW's just insisting on just calling it New Edition.
Yeah. I mean, right, it doesn't say any numbers on the pre-orders or anything like that.
Yeah, it just says New Edition.
Yeah. I have to say, pricing. I'm not one to scream GW's trying to take us for all we're worth, and I'm not saying that necessarily here. I don't feel it's rip-off pricing, but I do feel the pricing on stuff, with the exception of the cards, is high. I think the cards are actually very well priced.
They're very well priced. I mean, $8 for the objective cards,
and
$15 for the psychics. The only thing I'm upset about that is GW didn't make an account for those who already bought the previous psychic deck, which is not too terrible. I guess their thinking is well, those people just use the book, and this is just for everyone who's never bought the cards. But
and they're probably thinking, oh, you have the old set. Well, just buy the new one now, don't you, boy?
Because it's awesome and new.
Yes, but I did not know when you first mentioned there's going to be 3 little books for the main rule book. Yes. I didn't know that it was all together. I thought you had to buy them separately.
Altogether, $85 for each book? Dang.
No, not $85 for each book. Just for pricing. Like I thought it was going to be like $20 here, something here, something there. But
it's $85 for all 3.
I feel that's a little high. Like
it is for a rule book,
right? I mean, main rule books usually are more expensive. Look at D&D and stuff like that. But like, it is a bit high. I will say though, I do like this setup of the 3 books. It's like. It's not quite a mini rule book, but if you're playing a game, just bring the rules.
Yep, and you don't have to worry that the person across from you is going to slap you with a brick if you say they're wrong.
Exactly. It's just now it's a mini brick.
It's a very light brick.
Yeah.
It's only like 102 pages or something like that.
Yeah, I do like. They still have the Dark Angel cover on the top, like the flip over, and then they have like Chaos. Dark Eldar.
They have a Hellbrute. Yeah, I was very shocked that it's a Dark Eldar homunculus on the rulebook cover.
I was too.
I would have thought they would have gone with a Space Marine.
I would have thought they would have went with something not Dark Eldar. Like, if they wanted to go Space Marine, Chaos, and an alien, I would have expected maybe an Orc.
Or Tau.
Or Eldar.
Or Eldar.
The more played races. But maybe they're trying to go play Dark Eldar. By putting it on, because it's on the rules too.
Well. In GW's defense on that, Dark Eldar would most likely have a new codex before Eldar, so putting him on the rulebook cover will make people go, "Oh, that's the army that dude comes from," and make me think more interested to see what they're all about.
It would, and I will say this. Before the current Dark Eldar Codex, before that, only 5 people play Dark Eldar. Now it's something like 20. So, I mean...
Right direction.
Yeah, right. They're getting there. Baby steps. But that's good. I will say the Visions of the Dark Millennium art book it's $75. I'm rounding up here. I know it's a big round up, but I'm rounding up to $75. That's a lot of money for just an art book, especially with a lot of reused art, which is classic. It's the classic pitfall of art book from DW. They're not making new art every day, folks. So they're gonna have stuff in there that you've seen before, but they also do say they have some new stuff, and they have quotations in there. And the art, I will say this: GW's art is always top notch.
Very.
It's just because we know. It's going to have old art as well as new art. Because they even tell you, both old and new art.
Yeah.
I feel 75 is a bit much for it. Like, I feel that is approaching the too high mark. You know what I mean? There's high, and then there's such thing as too high. I feel this is going...
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know how much is new versus old. I think 60 would have been something I would have been okay with. Because it's just an art book. It's not nothing to do with playing the game. It's just art. 50 to 60 is what I would see. I would say art book should be. The Munitorum edition. It's expensive.
It's very.
But I don't think it's too high. I just think it's expensive because it's just a flashier version.
It is. It's the biggest thing I find with it is for what you're paying for, there's not enough practicality in it, is probably my biggest issue.
I could see that. Now, and I mean, it's a lot of money. Granted, it includes the cards in there, which is a nice little thing. I mean, if you're dropping this kind of cash, at least it includes the cards. The polished metal 6 objective markers it's a very,
those are cool.
They're cool. It's not, that shouldn't be what sways you.
Yeah.
It's a nice little thing. It is. It's very helpful, but it really is just a prettier, better package enhanced version, and this is like how all of their special edition books have been. It's the only thing different is how it's presented to you.
Yeah.
Now the cool thing is, when you look at the books that they have different art on their books, so it's not like
Yep. It's not like they're taking a regular edition and throwing it into a box.
Yeah. So the art's, I mean, that art's pretty cool. I like that. I like that they're not just throwing it into the box like you said.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Sort of like what they did with the Gamer Edition and all the other ones.
It's expensive. It's not something I necessarily would pick up. But
yeah.
I say it's expensive. I don't think it's rip-off priced. The package, the fit and finish, the polish, the packaging, everything of that is very nice. It's just, at this point, I would be happier with just the rule book and the cards, you know what I mean? And then just call it that way if I were to do it. Now, real quick, just as the quick derail here, I just noticed, which is interesting, because I'm on GW's page looking at this stuff, the Imperial Knight does not have add to cart. It has email me.
Interesting.
So I don't know what happened there. Either they're temporarily out of stock is what they're saying. That's interesting, just because what is the reason it's temporarily out of stock?
Yeah, that is a little weird that that it's out of stock randomly.
Now, I don't think they would ever make a new kit for it or whatever, but that would be my hope if depending how long it stays out of stock. But it's random because I didn't think, maybe it's a combination of they didn't think, they didn't make that many of it, and maybe I wouldn't, if I was in charge of production, and let's say normally you make X, you normally make, let's just say 5,000 of a kit.
Yeah.
It's a big number. I have no idea what I'm talking about here, but I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe going the Imperial Knight, it's this. You don't need that many of them for a force, whatever. Let's just make 2,000.
Yeah.
And maybe they underestimated the buying of it, which I would be surprised about because it's GW. But I don't know. It's just surprising to me that it would be out of stock. I mean, it happens. It's just I would not. Out of all the things that are up there, I would not have picked the Imperial Knights to be out of stock. And another interesting thing, is the Dark Vengeance box was never taken off of GW's site.
No, and everyone kept saying it was going to because we were getting a Blood Angels vs. Orcs one.
Yeah, and I had a very strong feeling that Dark Vengeance was going to remain, and I'm pretty sure it will.
Yeah.
Now, my question or concern is this. Clearly, we're still pre-ordering the new edition.
Yeah.
I'm wondering when the new edition drops, are we going to see it magically become temporarily out of stock to get a mini book included in it?
There's actually an interesting note here. It says, please note, to get the latest set of Warhammer 40k game rules, you will need to purchase the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. So they're basically saying, warning, the book in this thing is out of date.
Right. My wonder is this: are they going to update it? I think it will make being a starter set. They should.
In the White Wolf, recently they said the White Dwarf. Sorry, White Wolf. Sorry. I don't have the issue on me, but it said that this is getting. They are going to be updating the rules in this. The kit is going to be getting an update. Stay tuned to more issues of White Dwarf to get more info.
Okay. No, because I'm just curious now, if you're already somebody who's been playing, you know the rules, you are a gamer already in 40K, still pick it up. If you're just getting it for the model, because you're basically getting for the models at that point, and they are beautiful models. Yeah. But if you're a new player who's looking to get started with a starter set, I would say if you could pump your brakes and just wait until they update this, just so you don't get, don't start learning
rules that are no longer valid.
Yeah. Now, granted, even those rules, albeit no longer valid, it's not like it would be so radically different you have to relearn from scratch. But just so you're not looking at it going, man, now I got to buy a rule book too. So I would say wait if you're looking to get it for the mini rule book thing. And to be honest, I have the 6th edition Dark Vengeance. Should I would be, I haven't been able to play at all, really, game at all, but getting into it, when I'm able to get back into the swing of things with gaming, I would pick up Dark Vengeance again. It's such a good deal. Yeah. And with a new mini book, I wouldn't being because I know I'm not going to be able to play for a while. The Chosen are good, but knowing that I'm not going to be able to play for a while, I'm not going to get the new rulebook. I'm going to wait until they update Dark Vengeance, and I'll just buy that for the mini rulebook.
To be perfectly honest, in all the editions I've played, I've only bought the rulebook once, and that was back in 3rd ed. I mean, every other time I either relied on the other person who already had the rulebook, or someone got it for me for my birthday.
There you go. But, these models, they're definitely worth it. The price point of Dark Vengeance is still a very good price point when you start comparing it to the equivalent of the boxes that you can buy of miniatures. And yes, they're snap fit. They only go together one way. I have seen some clever conversions of these models, number one. Number two, it's still a good deal. Just case in point, these Deathwing Terminators, right?
Yeah.
They are, you could say, well, they're single pose, whatever, that's it. For the Deathwing Terminator box, it's $60. Now, you could say, well, yeah, but I can make 3 different squads. Yeah, but you only can do that once. You can't just pop them out and do whatever, unless you do some clever stuff with that. But it's $60 for models that are not posed the same way. This is a unique set of posing in Dark Vengeance. So, even if you just shave $10 and say, okay, $50 for a snap fit of Terminators, that right there is half the price of the Dark Vengeance kit. So, I mean, and that's only one squad. So you're definitely getting a good deal out of. I've always said this with Dark Vengeance, you're always getting a good deal with them.
Oh yeah.
Well, with the starter set,
definitely,
especially the Dark Vengeance starter set. So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Chaos models so much, being all spiky and mutated and gross, but the Chaos Lord and the Chosen are so good looking.
That Chaos Lord is gorgeous.
It is, and even the
and I like the Lightning Claw Chosen. He's probably one of my favorites.
Oh, he's definitely one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites, and I really like the just the Chosen with the bolter. Just because he's so he just got a bolter, but he looks so awesome with it. But even the Hellbrute looks good.
Yeah, I do like that Hellbrute. And with this, we've got a lot of new info on 7th edition. As everyone knows, there's the Unbound and the Army Battle Forged Force Organization chart, which, from images we've seen, apparently it works this way. If you use the Force Organization chart, depending on which Force Organization slots you use, depends on what in-game bonus you get. Okay. So you get a different in-game bonus if you just have HQ, 2 troops, 3 fast attacks, 3 heavy supports, versus if you use a fortification and a Lord of War. Unbound lets you play with whatever. There are 6 new missions in this book that are supposed to add new flavors into the game, plus the new objectives, which can change turn to turn, it seems. And apparently you can steal other person's objectives. It's really weird.
Yeah.
We also have D-weapons. D-weapons now, whenever they roll to wound, if they don't roll a 6 on their wound chart, you're allowed invulnerable saving throws.
Yeah, which is, it's not really anything bad if people are worried, because previous Strength D rules allowed invulnerable saves regardless.
I think everyone was happy that they threw that in, because now they don't seem so uber broken in a regular game of 40k.
I guess, but really, only Strength, up until this point, the only Strength D weapon you had to worry about was a close combat attack from a knight.
A knight.
And it's not that big. I still think...
A knight can only hit you so many times.
I still feel that allowing for 0 saves is okay. I don't think it would have been that bad. But it's really... This isn't that... people shouldn't worry too much one or the other, because when Strength D rolls on a chart to see how exactly it hurts you...
Yeah.
And that... What it does is a pretty... It's not just it hurts you. No, it hurts you bad. A dump truck shows up, and that's how many wounds you get. It just because coming out of the back of that dump truck. It puts a lot of wounds on you. So, maybe you get your invulnerability save, but we got to make 8 of them on one dude, especially, or your monstrous creature has an invulnerability save or whatever, and it just lays a smackdown on you, or it's an independent character by itself, and it's laying the smackdown on you. Good luck. That's all I got to say. Unless you're playing against me, it's probably not going to happen. If you're playing against me, you'll make every save you need. And I won't make anything.
He's got terrible luck with that.
I do. I can't make... I know I said this before, but just to put the fact back. I was facing a Hive Tyrant with a squad of Terminators. All but one died. And yeah, I need to make invuln saves there. But the one that died didn't have a storm shield. The one that survived didn't have a storm shield. The others did. So you see, my those storm shield saves I did not make, but I made every single one of the standard Terminator's invuln save, and I killed the Hive Tyrant with the Power Fist. But no, but 5 lasguns, just 5 lasgun wounds, I lose an entire Deathwing squad. But I'll make 5 plus all day long, so I don't know what's going on. Oh. It's that bad. But yeah, Strength D. It's not just like, oh, it did a wound. It's like, it did this many wounds. Have fun with that, and then you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So.
And we now have a new Psychic phase, which they've come out and basically almost told us the whole 9 yards of it, which is you roll a d6, and that's how many warp charges you have. You have an additional warp charge for every mastery level on your field. So if you have a Farseer and 2 Warlocks, that's 3, 4, 5 extra warp points on top of whatever d6 you rolled. So if you don't have a Psychery army, you might want to consider looking at the pseudo. They call them like possible ally, desperate ally type of situation. Like they seem to kind of even imply that Battle Brothers was toned down a bit in terms of who is and who isn't,
which is fine.
And which it's nice because it's like I'm Tau. I just ignore all magic. It's I'm Tau. Please don't hurt me with your magic.
Right, and that makes sense. Like obviously,
yeah.
If you have psychic ability, that's your strength over an army that doesn't. Oh, not too much your strength, but that's a leg up you potentially have against an army that's weak in it or has none.
Yep.
And
Grey Knights now are ridiculous.
Yeah, because Grey Knights is army of Psychers, so they're going to have a pretty big pool. And before people, and I'm sure that's going to be a thing that comes up. You know, somebody's going to go, "Oh my God, this is so unfair." Potentially, we don't know exactly 100% the wording and how it works. I'm sure it still works the way we're implying it works.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to remember that's what the Grey Knight do.
Yeah, they're just a giant warp conduit.
Like, their whole thing is, their fluff has always been, they're nothing but Psychers.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Yeah.
And...
but no one knows why they're all Psychers.
Right. But if you have to read their codex, and you understand they're all Psychers because they fight the warp, and the best way to fight the warp is not with bullets and brawn, but with your psychic ability. And they're anti-demon, anti-warp. So the fact that they generate so much makes so much sense, especially on the defense. So I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And in all honesty, though, even armies that rely on psychic abilities, like Grey Knights, because they can't not have psychic. So like they have to, even if they don't rely on it, they have it. And Eldar tend to use it a decent amount. But even them, that's not necessarily making them gonna win, you know, like they're and it's proven by armies that have no psychic potential. You can run an Eldar list and be competitive without Psychers. It's just you have to build it a little bit differently. And you know, and just think about it. If you're an Eldar army and you have a Psyker, he's just not working for you. You know, just everybody has that game where the psychic ability never goes off.
Yeah,
you can still win that game. It's not like, oh, my army's broken. So it's not that big. One way or the other, whether you don't have enough psychic presence or your opponent has too many, it doesn't mean I lose. It just means this is like, oh, imagine that, an army that's effective in one thing and an army versus that's not effective in it. It's just how it works.
And depending on whose turn it is, depends on what these warp charges are used for. If you're the attacker, then your warp charges are used for your psychic shenanigans. If you're the defender, your warp charges are used for denying the witch. Yeah,
and just to clarify that, it's not like Planet Strike. It means that basically if it's your turn, you're the attacker. If it's their turn, they're the attacker.
Yes. And also, the way it works now is let's just say, for argument's sake, the psychic power is 3 warp charges. That means you have to spend 3 warp charges. What that means is that means you need 3 4 pluses on your dice to cast the power. So you have a pool of 5 warp charges. You know you need 3 to cast this one power. You're going to have to roll at least 3 of your 5, and you need to roll 4 or better on it. And if I understand correctly, if you roll 2 or more 6s, then you suffer Perils of the Warp, which is now a dice chart that you roll on.
Which is, I'm happy about it. If you go back to a previous podcast, I don't remember which one, I said I wish there was a table.
Yep.
And you made, and you know, just like it was in the role-playing game, you made a perfect analogy in our Lost Gold.
Yeah.
Of, you know, in 40K, you take a wound, it's whatever. It doesn't...
It's like, oh, I lost a wound. Well, he's got 2 more.
Yeah. But in role-playing, it becomes a desperate situation.
Yep. It was basically in every role-playing game that happened after this one bad thing happened where I accidentally summoned a demon prince.
That was the second worst thing that could happen. The only thing worse is if you got swallowed up by the warp with a burping sound. That's how it works. Like it would swallow up, burp, and I don't know if it could swallow up anybody else. But basically, you just get insta killed, and then I think it also summons a demon prince.
and so now after that, every time I said I cast a psychic power, everyone in the table just looked at me like, you better not screw this up. And some of them were even outright saying, I point my gun at him if he fails.
And like the thing about that is, it's not always going to be demon prince. It might just be things get cold. But and that's the realm. That's what made it feel. That's what made it feel like a gamble. Taking a wound didn't feel like a gamble. And then before that, you had to make a successful invulnerability save twice. That definitely didn't feel like a gamble. I mean, it was like, oh, well, what? And like it wasn't desperate enough. You know, and I'm not saying psychers should be desperate because you're representing the base psyker who's really untrained, and you're representing also highly trained psychers from the Space Marines and the Eldar. They still have the oops factor, and that's why I like the table.
What also I just realized, it makes the Ghost Helm for the Eldar more valuable now.
Yes.
With it because the way it worked in the current codex without revealing, secret rules and such, it was one of these things where it's like, I'd rather just take the wound. Now it's I can do it and still cast powers. This is awesome.
Exactly. And we don't know what the table's going to be. The table could be something like a roll of a 1 could be like, you're lucky nothing happens, Yeah. And then it could go up to, like, you take a wound, take 2 wounds, and die. Even if something as simplistic as that is it's a step in the right direction because there's the uncertainty value of what a table has, and there's the uncertainty of what could happen in the warp. And
one thing that I think would be really, really cool is if one of the nasty ones is your opponent picks the target.
That would be cool.
So it's like, I'm casting a blessing. Holy crap, Perils of the Warp. Okay, that +2 to cover saves, my dudes get that now.
Yeah, right.
Or, that Jaws of the Wolf that you just casted, you're striking that tactical squad of yours that's about to assault me.
Yeah.
That would be really nasty, because it would just be like, oh, please don't let this happen.
No, yeah, it would be, and a table, and especially considering the way the psychic works now with rolling more dice, the table should be built appropriately to represent the fact that, perils is probably going to happen a higher percentage than it used to.
Yeah.
Because, the nature of rolling more dice. And to be honest, I don't really play Psychers. I did for a little bit when I pre-aired 2000 Suns Force. I've only had a Perils happen maybe twice, and I played that army a lot when I had it. And, it only hurt me once, because this is back in the day when you had to roll invulnerability saves for it.
Yep.
But other than that, it doesn't happen that often. So, I'm not saying it's going to happen so much more frequently now, but it's probably going to happen a bit more in comparison.
Yeah, especially with the way that the system works now. It's higher chance of success, higher chance of Perils of the Warp.
Right.
And that's great. I like that. It throws more of a gamble. It throws more of a, is this tactically worth it?
Exactly.
And was there anything else that they announced in the new series that's definite 100% this is what's happening? There's 2 new psychic powers, not just the demon ones. There's another one. They kind of just said it existed. They didn't really say much about it.
Yeah.
But the new demon one is you can basically, it's a way to get people to buy Codex Chaos Demons.
Well, they need any help they can get.
Yeah.
But,
And, there really wasn't much else that I can recall them talking about aside from it being a lot more fun and trying to establish more forms of play.
Well, yeah,
and
of course they're gonna say all that stuff. They're not gonna go, you know what, it's not that better.
I do agree that I feel like this game, it's now allowing for more fluffy and more creative play. Like, now I can play Beeltan again. I can play an Eldar Strike Force because it's like, wow, I'm on a foreign planet trying to capture a relic. Why are Guardians here? Because Guardians are only used when the craft world's in danger, but I need to take them.
Well, you always,
now
Dire Avengers are troops, right?
Yes, but it's just like, like just how it goes, like that type of a question of it. Now you can go, wow, this is a capture the relic. Aspect warriors, scorpions, nothing but scorpions.
For days.
Because that is the only thing that would work for this mission. You can fill up more fluffy, you can have more fun.
Oh, it definitely opens more of a narrative for casual gaming, of course.
Yeah.
Tournament play doesn't benefit, nor does it get taken away from.
Yeah. Though, but I'm going to be looking for some new entertainment comedy when all the tournament sceners complain.
Yeah, but the thing is, from what I can tell about this edition, it may not bring anything really nice to the table for tournaments, but it's not really going to take anything away.
No,
because
doesn't seem like that.
Because as we all know, and they always seem to forget this, the people who whine about it, but no matter what the rulebook has all this potential for, tournaments are always run in a streamlined fashion of this is what is being done. These are the commissions, these are the rules, that's it. So it's going to be the same way. I still feel that the only way that GW can get people to stop complaining is for GW to take an active role in the tournament, seeing like Magic the Gathering does for their tournaments, but it's never going to happen.
Yes. Oh, that was another thing. Difficult terrain now, only -2 from your charge distance.
Okay.
That's the new thing. Also, it's no longer roll 3 dice, take the lowest, or remove the highest, or whatever it was. That's another thing that they added.
Okay, well, that could be good, except for me, that means I won't go anywhere in difficult terrain.
Yes, because you usually only roll ones.
Yeah, like, well, you know what? We decided to have a picnic. Go away.
Well, it's only on the charge.
Right. Well,
so if you're just walking through it, you're fine.
Yeah, but my luck, I was trying to do a charge. I'm like, well, I'm having a picnic instead. You all invited. But for me, I've done tournaments. Even in a tournament, I don't rely on, I'm not saying that a game shouldn't help set the narrative. Of course, a game should help set its own narrative. But even when I play in tournaments, I have the narrative happening in my head myself anyway, Yeah. I don't need that to be outlined in a tournament play. You can do it yourself, and you just visualize it in your mind. And the whole point of this game, and people kind of sometimes I think just don't acknowledge this as often as they should, is that the whole point of it is to step out of the real world and step into this fantasy of a battle happening. So it's just figures and moving, but in your head, it's a real-time strategy game. They're running across the board. They're not just sliding on a base. They're running and diving for cover. They're shooting their guns. Yeah, sound effects happening. Sometimes they make the sound effects when you move them. You know, like brrr, for like a tank or whatever, or somebody's flying. Yeah. And then, when you're making your charges, you're going for the Emperor, or you're screaming "wow" or something like that. Like you have the whole idea is to kind of it's a break from reality. It's like to get into it. Yeah, it's like a video game, and only in this case we have a bit more freedom in that we get to make the narrative in our mind ourselves. And yes, a game should help set the narrative and set the tone, but really it's up to you. If you're just relying on the game to set the narrative for you throughout the entire thing, you're gonna be let down. Like,
a great example is a game I just had. It was against another Dark Angel player. So it was Dark Angel versus Dark Angel. And we did the Altar of War, and it was Hunt the Fallen. And I forget what the other mission was for it, but we said the ironic thing was the person that I was playing with, I was teaching him the game.
Yeah.
So we went, and Azrael was there. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is what's going on. This is a training exercise, for battle tactics stuff. But what the regular dudes don't know is that it's also a training exercise for the Deathwing to see if they can catch a Fallen without the rest of the squad, without the rest of the army realizing it.
There you go.
Essentially a test of their extraction.
Yeah.
And the glory thing was the Fallen was in a company veteran squad, so it made perfect sense.
There you go.
And so, and everyone was like, "Whoa, Dark Angel verse." Dark Angel was like, "Oh, this is the story that's going on." They're like, "Oh, that actually makes pretty good sense."
Exactly. So that, I mean, and it's just, and that's the perfect example of you have to set the tone and narrative yourself. A game can only go so far for you. This isn't a video game. It's not gonna. Video games set the narrative for you pretty easily and hold your hand through it as you complete the game. But this is something you have to do what graphics are not there to do for you, which is set the tone. And that's the big fun of it. Like, on the outside, we look like a bunch of weird nerds rolling dice and moving stuff around a table. Because the outsiders who don't know the rules and know the game, they don't see the narrative going on in our minds.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between why I feel video games are a bit more accepted, because those people can see in Call of Duty, they can see what's going on in Call of Duty, they can see what's going on in StarCraft or whatever it is, as opposed to this. But any time that the game lets for easier narrative to take place for us, I feel is a win, regardless if it's tournament play or not.
Yeah, definitely.
So with that, you brought up Forge World.
Yes.
Because I being part of the newsletter, I got to see all the stuff for the Weekender that they had.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's such a tease. I'm like, you know I don't live in that country. Stop teasing me.
Yeah.
And, I did like the swag in terms of like cups and shirts and stuff. I haven't. I hope they sell it on their site.
I do too, because I would buy like a Thousand Suns mug.
Yeah, I would buy a shirt or a mug just to have. I mean, why not? It's cool looking. But yeah, the Weekender though revealed some models that I was all sorts of. This is awesome.
Vulcan.
And let me just say with Vulcan, I'm so happy with how he looks, because yes, he has a gigantic salamander skull on his shoulder pad of the one that he hunted or whatever.
Yeah.
But in all like the fan-made models for him and the fan-made art, they take the whole dragon motif too far. They give him like dragon talon feet boots. They give him like clawed hands and talons and stuff.
He wishes he was a dragon, kids.
They basically make him look like he's wearing a dragon suit. Like, I'm a dragon furry, look at me. But
I'm just now picturing that. That's Vulcan from now on for me.
But
I'm a cosplayer.
Yeah, that's what they made him look like in a sense, like cosplayer in battle armor. But he looks so good here. Like his posing, I think his posing sets a narrative of this is a desperate situation, alone with his base. Yeah. I like that.
He's like, get away from me, bro, or I'll smack you with this hammer.
Yeah. And I like that he has that looks like the same gauntlet thing that Vulcan Heston has, and which makes sense because it's a relic. And I don't know what the rules will be for him because I don't have the book yet. But he also has that gun on his that's holstered on his side. That, from what I know from reading the novel of this Dot Site Massacre, that it was involved in, knowing from reading all that fluff, that is a gun of kill. That is an amazing gun. But if it's what I think it is, and he looks like he's one of the best primer models they've made, in my opinion, because it just. And the reason I say that is because you can say, well, what about Horus? Well, we had such a nice, detailed view of what Horus looks like for so long that as good of a job as the sculptor did, it's not that I wasn't impressed. It's just I went, yep, that's Horus, you know. Yeah. But with Vulcan, we didn't really have a pre-established art. You
didn't really see much of Vulcan.
No, and all the fan stuff I saw made me go, that's cheesy. That's terrible. Yeah. That's so bad. And I was so worried. And yeah, he has it's only on one shoulder. It looks fine. It's clearly a skull. And he's got, the hide on him as well, which makes sense. Is what the Salamanders do. Mm-hmm. And he looks really good. And I'm really happy. I like the colors. I like that they kept the skin tone. There's always supposed to be coal black. Demonic coal black with demonic red eyes. That's what the Salamanders have. That's what they do. That's their shtick. And I just like to see that again, because you don't see it done often.
Yeah, no.
And it's one of the few skin tones I could paint, because it's not realistic.
And speaking of also the new Magos, or Magos, however you want to pronounce it, Prime on the little chariot thing looks pretty awesome.
Prime.
I just don't like the stupid wolf head.
Yes, well, it is a work in progress. I can only hope that's a placeholder.
Or I'm hoping, if anything, that he comes with a secondary head.
Right. Now,
but that looks gorgeous, and I'm like, curse you, curse you, Forge World. You know I want to buy that.
they also have Mortarion.
Yes.
And we had a pretty good art depiction of him from the card. And when I say art depiction of him, I'm talking about the card game art that you can get in Visions of Heresy or something like that. That's all like the card game art, basically.
Yeah.
And very good depiction of it. He looked cool there. He looks cool here. It's a minor change from the card art. I like that it had the chemical tank on his back so he can breathe in the poisonous air of his home world, because that's what you do, I guess.
Yep.
But he looks like he should. His armor is kind of not run down, but it looks like it's definitely been through some stuff. And that also fits in with the Death Guard motif.
Yeah. I do like that new Mechanicum tank. Looks awesome.
Oh god, that thing screams Mechanicum. It's so Mechanicum it poops out cogs. That's how Mechanicum it is. And some people may disagree, but to me that just screams Mechanicum. The what do they call it? The Mechanicum Triaros Armored Conveyor. It just. One of the things I liked about the Mechanicum that we saw in some of the art, especially from the card game, and that we kind of seem brought to us with the Thalix and like the Cryos battle tank and the more Mechanicum stuff they're making for the Heresy, is the Mechanicum had a very different feel to them. They looked a certain unique way. They had very much this is a Mechanicum feel, almost like what the 30s and 40s drew the future as, in a way. It's kind of got that feel to it, but then make it darker and make it grimier. And even then, they're kind of surprisingly well polished for the grimy setting of 40K. You know, they look good. And the shaping and everything they did with this, I just love it. I think it looks perfect for everything. Stick a turn on it. I don't care. It's now the official tank of everything for the Mechanicum.
It looks glorious.
It does, and I think I said enough of it already that I'm a big fan of it. It looks great. The Galvor back of the World Bears Legion look kind of cool. The Salamander Legion Dreadnought looks cool. What I really like, because I'm a big Terminator fan, is the Gorgon Terminator for the Iron Hand Legion, and especially the Fire Drake Terminator from the Salamanders. I like the Iron Hands one because it definitely shows some cybernetic enhanced parts on them, which is something sorely lacking in the Space Marines, bit box, if you will. We have a whole bunch of bionic stuff for power armor, but when it comes to Terminator armor, nothing. So I like that we have that. If you're an Iron Hands player, you're probably picking it up. Even if you don't play Terminators, pick it up. But what I really like is the Fire Drake Terminators to the Salamanders Legion, because the Fire Drake still exist as a unit in the Salamanders chapter, and the way they depict the Thunderhammer Stormshield is kind of the way they do, because Salamanders have the whole Thunderhammer and Flamer thing that they love to do. And it looks so good, it makes you kind of want to play Salamanders, and this makes me excited for the Legions of the future, namely the Thousand Suns, and the Dark Angels, and then the Custodian Guard. Because they just look good. They look good. I'm a big fan of Terminators. I can't wait to see what they do for the Thousand Sun stuff. But what we see now, I'm really liking. Even the Cerastus Knight Lancer, and then it's the Lancer has other variants, which makes you think, why can't the Orant and the Paladin have variants? But anyways, the helmet of the Cerastus especially, I really like. That boxy-ish kind of, not really a knight helmet.
Different, which is cool.
Yeah, but the Forge World never ceases to impress me with stuff. And the only thing I got to say, though, is it's resin, which means it's probably going to be a pain to make any of these things that are big. The infantry, not so much, but I guarantee that Mechanicum tank is going to be a nightmare.
Probably.
And
well, actually, their tanks aren't usually bad. It's their walkers that are a big problem.
But because of the front of this tank, you can see some warpage annoyance problems.
Probably.
And the Knight Lancer, I'm never going to get one. Because I know how their walkers are.
Their walkers, their Imperial walkers are a pain in the butt. The Eldar ones, from just dry fitting the one that I have right now, not as terrible, but that's probably because they're not so freaking top heavy.
Exactly, and it's just that this is the big reason why I wanted the Knights to stay with GW.
They would have been plastic, which would have been a plus.
Yeah, and be a lot easier to build without having a big problem. Especially because the Lancer is tall, which means it's top heavy. So,
and with that, we are going to have to cut this short because me and Elena got to get going.
Yep.
So let us know what you think about the new 7th edition, what you're interested in, what you can't wait to see, what you're hoping for. Give us let us know what you think about all this other jazz and stuff. And also, I think you had a question for everyone.
Yes, because Godzilla came out, as we kind of said, maybe sort of, in the beginning, and I said I'm not a fan of giant monsters, like in general, beating each other up. The kaiju stuff. It's cool, whatever. I like Pacific Rim because of the mecha. I'm more of a mecha person. So I want to break it down for the full trifecta here. Are you a giant monster fan, like a la Godzilla style or a Cloverfield or whatever? Are you a big giant robot fan, which, pilot moves itself as a robot? Or are you a big mecha type of fan, which requires a pilot? Of the three, which one would you say you're the most fan of?
So just to break down an example of each monster: Godzilla, robot, Iron Giant, mecha, Pacific Rim.
Exactly.
So that's how we're clarifying those three. Use those films as examples.
If you don't know, it's just, especially for the robot, because really Iron Giant is the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
It's the only really big one, aside from, I guess, Transformers, you can argue as well.
I guess that, or
because they're not giant, but they're robots.
Yeah, or Gigantor.
Yeah, Gigantor.
But stuff like that.
Yep. So that is all for right now, and thank you all for listening, and hopefully we won't lose this one. And until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet.
Fans of Wildcard.
Saying take care.
Peace.